Welcome to another edition of Survival Mode, where we give entrepreneurs a step-by-step roadmap to starting their own business. I'm Bert Robinson.
I'm Kevin Beers.
I'm Michael Grant Jr.
You can reach us by email at hello@survivalmode.live or check out our website at www.survivalmode.live. Let's get to it. Welcome back to another edition of Survival Mode. Oh my goodness, we are in step number, what guys, what step are we in? Number 6?
That's right, step 6.
Wow, we are moving along step number 6. What is step number 6? Step number 6, developing your operational structure. Wait a minute, but we need to talk about organizational structure. And wait a minute, we need to know the difference. Wait, before we get into all of that, it is time for a little bit of news you might be able to use. Kevin, go ahead.
Okay, we are into tax season. So today's article is entitled, "The IRS is increasing standard mileage rates for business use by 3 cents per mile." So on January 1st, the Internal Revenue Service put into effect new standard mileage rates for 2023. Business owners and employees can now use these optional standard mileage rates to calculate the deduction costs of operating an automobile for business. So for business use, standard mileage rate for the use of a car, van, pickup, or panel truck is going to be 65.5 cents per mile, which is a 3-cent increase over 2022. As always, I'm recommending that you keep track of both mileage and expenses. What I will say is that mileage normally works out better for most people, but because of the price of gas going so high as it has, it might turn out better if you use the actual numbers of operating that vehicle. So my personal feel would be collect both sets of numbers and then see what works out best for you at the end of the year.
Okay, I can do that. But once again, Kevin, you're making me do extra work.
Yes, I am. And if it turns out that you never kept track of actual and the actual works better for you, I saved you some money. If it didn't save you, then you know that I don't have to worry about it.
Well, Kevin, thank you for helping me save some money. I appreciate that. All right. It is time to get back into step number 6. We're developing your operational structure. Now, let's talk about this. There are differences between operational and organizational structures. And you need to know that the organizational structure establishes the organizational function of your business, and that operational structure establishes the operational flow of your business. Now, wait a minute. You might say, well, Bert, we haven't talked about organizational structure. As my mentor would say, yes, we have. You just didn't realize it. Let me tell you how. If you go back to step number 3 and step number 4, that is your organizational structure right there. You are already doing it. Okay, step number 3 was the business planning process. Wait a minute, that's establishing your organizational structure. Step number 4 was registering your accounts. And then in step number 4, in the last part of that step, we talked about organizing to manage, maintain, and to measure your progress. Wow. We were organizing your business before you even thought you were organizing your business. That's what you were doing. Now, so, Michael, I want you to touch more on that organizational before we go into the operational. Give me a little bit more feel about that organizational structure.
Absolutely. So let me break it down like this. So when you're establishing your business model is comprised of 2 primary structures. The first structure is the organizational structure, which establishes, like you mentioned, Bert, the functionality of the business. Then you have the operational structure, which establishes the flow. That particular structure ensures how you communicate, how you fellowship, how you actually provide your services and products to the actual customers. Okay, so now that we understand that, Your organizational structure, that is the framework, that is your foundation, that is the blueprint on how you are going to do business. Once you have that in place, it never changes. If it changes, you have to change on the legal level. You have to change in your documentation. You have to change in your registrations. You have to update your accounts. Everything is centered and comprised upon your organizational structure. So you would say that that is the foundation of the business before you start building on top of it, which is the operational structure.
So, how important is that? I wonder if Kevin knows. How important is that? Let me ask. Kevin, how important is that?
Well, I honestly, I was sitting here thinking this reminds me about building a website. When you build a website, we create what's called the wireframe. That's the organization of the website. Then we hang up pictures and text to make it look pretty and sound good. That is the organization that's the operation of
That's
the website itself.
right.
But the thing is, if you throw pictures and text out there, if it doesn't have a structure to be hung on, it's just going to be a mishmash of stuff, and it's not going to function very well. So that's why you build the organizational structure first, then you hang the operational on top of it. So I was thinking that's exactly the way it works. And it works that way in your life too. I mean, if your household, if you just throw things wherever, bachelors, just saying, you don't know where anything is. You don't know how it functions. It slows you down. Everything is kind of reinvented from the beginning again. So I'm not sure what I don't know how else to answer it. It's just extremely important to make it all work. So saying all that, you can reach us at survivalmode.live. That's our website. Or you can email us at hello@survivalmode.live. And if you have any questions, we'll get back to you.
Now, Kevin, even though you don't realize how important when you're doing something, how important being organized is. Okay. Because like building a house, my wife and I, we just did that. We just built a house, and everything step by step by step by step by step. You follow the steps, and guess what? You get to your end result. In your business, you follow the steps of your organizational structure, and guess what? You get the opportunity to operate your business. Okay. Now that's operation. Now we're going to get into the operational structure.
Wait. I want to jump in there because you just set me up. You just threw me an alley hoop.
All right, go ahead, dunk it.
All right, so it also positions you to make money. Like people don't realize it's all about positioning. It's all about being organized. If you are not organized, guess what? You are going to deplete resources. You are going to slow down your progress. As Kevin mentioned in his example, which is identical to understanding structuring, you're going to have to always retrack or go back to do something that you could have already done based upon you establishing a certain structure and blueprint. So I'm telling people don't understand this. I'm just reiterating this. Follow, as you mentioned, as Bert mentioned, follow the steps. If you skip, if you try to circumvent, if you try to do anything else, you're gonna pay for it later on. It's that simple.
Yeah, and you're going to pay out of your wallet. Now, when we talk about operational flow, just that phrase, operational flow, I'm going to ask both of you guys. Michael, you first.
Okay.
What does operational flow really mean to you? I mean, we can say what it is business wise. Yes, okay, it's making sure stuff happens this way, this way. Let's get down to the real nitty gritty. Okay,
Right.
what does it mean to you?
So operational flow is how you're actually going to carry out the products and the services that your structure identifies. It's really that simple. So, for instance, if you're in a restaurant, some restaurants they want to serve you at a table, whereas some restaurants want you to order, get your food, and go. You have to identify your market, and that's why we say developed by demand. The operational structure is encompassed by you developing by demand. However, your customers or your clientele wants you to serve them best. And your market research and analysis should tell you that. But bottom line is, you need to identify, and the flow is simply identifying how you're going to service the people the way how they best will receive it.
All right, Kevin, your turn.
Okay, I'm just going to jump on along with what Michael was talking about, because when he used the example of the restaurant, a takeout place and a sit down place may actually have almost identical organizational structures, but their operational structure is very, very different. So it's basically because you're going to cook the food, you're going, and like, there are things you're going to do that are identical between both, but the actual flow is different. How that food gets from the kitchen to the takeout counter versus how it gets to the table, those things are different. But the fact that the food has to be made and it's got to be made in a certain kind of a kitchen and all that, the organizational structure is still the same. So it's, again, that operational flow, because when we first started talking about these things, I would get confused sometimes because I'm like, oh, they sound almost like the same thing. But I think, and now that we've talked about it quite a bit, being able to make that distinction between, the organizational, yeah, it might be the same, but the operational, completely different. And it may be two sit-down places, but the operational could still be different depending on how you want to serve your customers.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you're organized, and doing things step by step, it makes your operational flow a lot easier. It gives you that sight, and it works out so much better. You're more relaxed. Because I want to tell you right now, organizational and operational, oh my goodness, you're going to go buck wild sometimes. I'm telling you, you're going to go buck wild, but you just have to relax and get through it and go through the steps. You can check out our website at survivalmode.live or go to our email address at hello@survivalmode.live. Now, we'll be right back with the next part of step number 6.